it knocks onto another area. You immediately, by looking at the Ryde rural area, you're starting to look at Ryde, you're starting to look at the Bay areas, and it's a domino effect. I think I have to follow, I think here, sitting in this role today, the duty I feel I have as an Isle of Wight councillor, but I think Councillor Stevens has offered something of an olive branch here. I am going to make the recommendation I originally intended, but I don't think it needs to be part of the recommendation. But I think the suggestion that we fully debate this, and Jeff, thanks for your work in this regard. We fully debate this at an appropriate date in January, because we know this is not the end of the process. We know that these are notices we're talking about today that launch further consultation, which must then come back for further decision by this body. I'm afraid this body, but we can take cognizance in due course from that full council exercise. And therefore, so I apologise, I'm thinking this through as I go. I would seek, Leader, to follow through with the recommendation. Obviously, members can then vote on it as they see fit. But I will certainly bear in mind that those thoughts of Councillor Stevens about the debate we are looking to have in January and the further decisions we have to make in this process. And perhaps there's then going to be an opportunity, rather for doing anything on the hoof on the basis of something that's just been put forward, we have then time to take account of the sort of issues that are being discussed and put forward here.
To clarify something, I said earlier that I raised it with officers. I raised the problem with officers. I didn't make the suggestion that we held it back. That was only in reaction to what was said in the gallery.
Thank you for that clarity, Chair. I'm going to ask Julie to speak. I've got
Thank you, Chair, and just to acknowledge that it's been a very long evening, and you know, my heart goes out to everyone who's affected, and including my colleague next to me who's you know, had to carry the weight of this evening. We have had got a lot of information which we've read, digested, put forward straight in our heads, and I'm not at all comfortable with doing something on the hoof from a suggestion that's just come left of field. The decision we made regarding Godshill did not just happen this afternoon. That was something we looked at very carefully, as we've looked at very carefully each of these schools that we've discussed this evening. So I don't feel comfortable that we can just decide not to make a decision this evening and hold one. You can let me finish, if that's okay. That we're going to maybe hold back on one school and defer a decision, which that's what I was hearing. Apologies, I got that wrong. If we are going to maybe have a different recommendation come forward.
I'd like some clarification as well on this, because I'm now confused about well, a number of issues. But one, the deferral is to do what? That's the first thing. Second thing is, if you defer, it won't be part of.
Leader, I'm sorry if I was unclear. There's a bit of emotion here, but I know it won't be favoured by those who look down from above, but I would seek to put forward the recommendation as appears on page 111, but in accordance with what I'm not going to alter that, but in accordance with what Councillor Stevens said, I think we then have the opportunity of a full council debate, another month to think about this, and the fact that we know we're not making final decisions today to deal with matters in a proper and measured fashion, rather than what Councillor Jones-Evans is concerned about.
Thank you for that clarity. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's what I had in mind. So we as we said all the way along, we are not taking a final decision here tonight, but we are making a decision on the recommendation.
Also clarify, but if we're going to have a full council debate, every single school we're going to be debating about, we're in the same situation. So
Slightly different. The full council debate's slightly different. This is about us making a decision tonight, which is not final, because that it will trigger the public, it could and can and will trigger the statutory public consultation, during which time full council will debate this, but after which this cabinet will still have to make the final decision. And I'm hearing that between this period and the final decision, there is time and space to I'll have to find the right word here, to revisit the proposal. That's what I'm hearing. Do we agree with that? Is that what we agree? Okay.
Can I turn to the recommendation?
We're clear, and we'll move forward the recommendation on the basis this is not a final decision this evening. Jonathan.
And include the vet.
But I'm making that point, of course, I'm making that point in the context of there's been a suggestion to defer it.
No, there was never.
I realise that he asked us to consider that. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Of course. And we're now debating what you asked, Jeff. That's fine, isn't it? I don't know. If you don't want us to, we won't. Rodney.
Thank you, Chair. Can we get on? Because we're going round and round the houses. It's nearly 12 o'clock.
And we are going round, but we need to be clear, even though it's late and some of us are tired. We need to be clear about what we're doing. So I think we are now clear. Jonathan, please read the recommendation.
My car turns into a pumpkin at midnight, so if we can get on. The recommendation is, from reviewing and assessing all the information received through the consultation, the importance of Brading Church of England Primary School is understood, as is the fact that this is strongly felt in the community. It has been recognised that as a rural school, its community stretches beyond the area the school sits within. Consideration has been made as to how children and families could be supported in any transition, so that the sense of community could be given the chance to be maintained. It is expected that this will happen through the scheduling of opportunities for children and families to come together through and beyond the transition phase, with the support of the Council's Children's Services Department. The significance of a Church of England school is well recognised, and this sentiment is deeply felt by the community, extending beyond the immediate vicinity of the school. The local authority does not underestimate the potential impact of this proposed change on the children at the school, whose circumstances may already make them vulnerable. In particular, as the school has a resource provision supporting children with educational healthcare plans. Additional support would be provided by the local authority to ensure children accessing a place within the resource provision would be offered suitable transition and placement. The closure of Brading Church of England Primary would reduce the number of surplus primary places on the island and in the immediate planning area of Sandown and Shanklin. The Council considers that allowing surplus places to remain at current level through inaction would directly and negatively impact the financial viability of many local schools, which in turn will have an impact on the quality and breadth of the education offered at those schools. Mapping of children by postcode demonstrates that they reside across a wide area within and outside of the Sandown and Shanklin area, with only 31% of children in current year R to 5 attending the school as their nearest school. This means that families are very likely to have several alternative schools within the DFE recommended walking distance of their homes. Children would be entitled to local authority funded transport if they are eligible under the home school transport policy to what becomes their nearest school if Brading Primary School closes. It is recognised that a percentage of children entering the school, attending the school, do so through Brading being the school named within their education and health care plan. It is recognised that longer journeys to school may occur for some families living in the Sandown and Shanklin area if they take a place at a school further from their home address. The council would work with schools who receive children from Brading Primary School to develop their school travel plans to seek to mitigate against increased car use. In addition to this, consideration has been given to the creation of a new 12-place primary resource provision for children with autism spectrum condition at the Bay C of E School. As part of proposals to invest and improve the special education needs provision on the island, it is viewed that this would create a high-quality all-through provision which would meet our sufficiency needs. The recommendation to Cabinet is that a public notice be published in accordance with Section 15 of the Education Inspection Act 2006 to establish a new 12-place primary resource provision for children with autism spectrum condition at the Bay C School with effect from 31st of August 2025. The further recommendation to Cabinet is that a public notice be published in accordance with Section 15 of the Education Inspection Act to close Brading Church of England Primary School with effect from 31st of August 2025. In addition to this, the recommendation is the reduction of the planned admission number of Bay CE Primary School will be consulted upon next academic year in line with the admission code for September 2027. I look for a seconder.
Thank you, Councillor Andre seconded that. Are there any further comments or questions on this? There aren't any. Well, we will move to the vote. I'll do the same again. We'll vote for, we will vote against, and we'll vote to abstain. So those in favour of this recommendation, please show. And therefore that's 7-4. Those against, there are none. Those abstaining, there are none. That recommendation is carried. I propose, because of the hour that we are at, to not proceed any further. I believe that both of the items that we have to deal with deserve some consideration, some time, and I'm proposing that we defer those until the next Cabinet meeting in January.
Hi, Chair, can you hear me?
Still got a recommendation about schools.
Hi, Chair.
About the 15 places at the Bay.
Chair. Can anyone hear me?
Oh, Debbie, let's go one at a time. Debbie.
Hi, Chair.
With your indulgence, Chair, the poverty reduction strategy has had wide oversight, having been through several boards. If I may just present it, it is for noting. So if I can just present.
Do this.
No.
This is in the
All right,
round. This is
I will
better than.
defer to you, Chair.